6th grade, Module 4, Lesson 23, Classwork. Opening exercise. Determine what each symbol stands for and provide an example. So the first one, we have an equal sign. So when it says what's that symbol stand for, it just means, like, what does it mean? So equals means that something is equal to something else. So let's say is equal to. So an example would be like, we could say 4.5 is equal to 4 and 5/10. Or you could say 4.5 is equal to 4 and 2/4. So it just means that something is equal to something else. Our next one is a greater than symbol. So that means if it was in between two numbers, we would say is greater than. So for example, I might say 8 is greater than 7. You could say 10 is greater than 4, as long as the number on the left is greater than the number on the right. So then the other way around, the next symbol is less than. So maybe 3 is less than 5. And these, the next two, are where I think something new might come into play. So if there's this little, kind of drew it under there, this little line underneath of these two, that just means that it could be less than, so this is a less than, or equal to. So it could be less than or equal to. So for example, we could say 4 is less than or equal to 5. Or we could say 4 is less than or equal to 4 because it's equal to 4, so that works. The next one would be is greater than or equal to. So maybe 10 is greater than or equal to 5, we could also say. Or 10 is greater than or equal to 10 because it's equal to 10. I'm going to skip example 1 because it requires your teacher to tell you what to write down, and every class is different. So I'm just going to go down to the exercises. It says, substitute the indicated value into the variable and state in a complete sentence whether the resulting number sentence is true or false. If true, find a value that would result in a false number sentence. If false, find a value that would result in a true number sentence. Okay, so we're substituting 8 for x. So we would have 4 plus 8 equals 12. They want to know, is that true or false? Well, we know that to be true. So let's say true needs to be in a complete sentence. So, and sorry, I'll write it in a complete sentence. So let's say when 8 is substituted for x, the number sentence is true. So if true, find a value that would result in a false number sentence. So since it's just equals to, like it has to equal 8, anything that's not 8 would make the sentence false. Any number for x that is not 8 would make the statement false. Okay, Next one. 3g, or 3 times g, is greater than 15. So substituting 4.5 for g. So 3 times 4.5 is not equal to, is greater than 15. So 3 times 4.5. Well, 3 times 4 is 12. And 3 times a half would be 1.5. So this is equal to 13.5. So this is saying 13.5 is greater than 15, which we know is false. So let's say when 4.5 is substituted for g, the number sentence is false. So we need to say how we could make it true. We could make it true by choosing anything greater than, let's see, 3 times 5 is 15, but this isn't greater than or equal to, it's just greater than. So we could make it by true, make this true by using anything greater than 5. So let's say anything greater than 5 would make it true. Okay, number 3. F over 4 is less than 2. Substitute 8 for F. So 8 over 4 is less than 2, and 8/4 is equal to 2. So since this doesn't say less than or equal to, this is false. Let's say when 8 is substituted for F, the number sentence is false. So we could make it true. So since it's false, they want to know how we can make it true. Well, we could make it anything greater than, or anything less than 8, because 8/4 is 2, which is not less than 2, but if we made it 7/4 or 6/4 or 5/4, it would be less than 2. We can make it true by using any number less than 8. Number 4, 14 2/10 is less than or equal to h minus 10 3/10. Okay, so 25 8/10 is h. So we'd have 14 2/10. It's less than or equal to 25 8/10 minus 10 3/10. So first we need to figure out what that is. Let's do 25 8/10 minus 10 3/10. We get 15 5/10. So this statement would be saying 14 2/10 is less than or equal to 15 5/10, which is true. So let's say this when 25 8/10 is substituted for h, this sentence is true. Now, how can we make it false? Well, it is less than or equal to by, let's see, 15 5/10 would be 1 3/10 greater than 14 2/10. So if we used any number, let's subtract 1 3/10 from that. So we could use any number that's less than 24 5/10 to make it true. Number 5. 4 is equal to 8 over h. When let's make 6h. So 4 is equal to 8 over 6, 8/6. That's not going to be true. So let's say this number sentence is false. So we know it's false. How can we make it true? So how could we make this true? We need 4 to be equal to 8 over something. So 8 divided by what is equal to 4? Well, 8 divided by 2 is 4. So we can make it true and since it's only equal to, there's not a range of answers we can use. The only thing that makes this true is by substituting 2. Number 6. 3 is greater than k plus 1/4. Substitute 1.5 for k. Okay, so 1.5 plus 1/4, we'd have to find common denominators. That would be fourths. 1.5 is equal to 2/4. So this is saying 3 is greater than 1 3/4, which is true. How could we make it false? If we need something to be greater, if we're saying 3 is greater than 1 3/4, to make it false, we could just use anything greater than 3. We'd substitute k or anything greater than 3. Or anything 3 or greater. Because if we put 3 there, it would also be false, because 3 is not greater than 3. They're equal. All right, number 7. 4.5, 4 5/10 minus d is greater than 2 5/10. Substitute 2 5/10 for d. 4 5/10 minus 2 5/10 is greater than 2 5/10. 4 5/10 minus 2 5/10 would be 2. So 2 is greater than 2 5/10. That is not true. So let's say when 2 5/10 is substituted for d, this number sentence is false. So how could we make it true? We need to use something, let's see. So 4 5/10, we minus 2 5/10, we got 2. So we need to subtract something smaller than 2 probably. So 4 5/10 minus 2 gets us 2 5/10, but we don't have an equal to sign. So it needs to be less than 2 5/10. Or less than 2. Make this true. We would need to use a number less than 2 for d. So anything less than 2 would make this work. Number 8. 8 is greater than or equal to 32p. Say 8 is greater than or equal to 32 times, substitute 1/2. So 32 times a half, or half of 32, is 16. This is saying 8 is greater than or equal to 16, which is false. So how could we make it true? We would need whatever this is, this number, to be less than 8. So how can we make that less than 8? We would have to come up with something to multiply that by that would make that less than 8, or equal to 8, because it does have the or equal to sign. So what can we multiply 32 by to get 8? Well, we can multiply it by 1/4, because 32 times 1/4 would be 8, and then anything less than that would make it smaller. So we could replace P with anything that is 1/4 or smaller to make this statement true. Number 9, W over 2 is less than 32. Substitute 16 for W. So 16 over 2 is less than 32. 16 divided by 2. So that's saying 8 is less than 32. So that is true. So how could we make this false? What could we put here? What could we divide by 2 to get 32? So I'm going to go backwards and multiply 32 by 2 and get 64. So if I put 64 there, I would get 32. And 32 is not less than 2. So anything 64 or greater would make the sentence false. And the last one. 18 is less than or equal to 32 minus b. And b here is 14. So 32 minus 14 is 18. So it's saying 18 is less than or equal to 18, which is true because 18 is equal to 18. Let's say this sentence is true when 14 is substituted for b. So how could we make it false? So we subtracted 14 and we want this side to be smaller. That means that this always needs to be 18 or greater. So that means that we can't subtract too much from this. So we need to always be subtracting something 14 or less. So any number greater than 14 would make the sentence false. Okay, that was a lot of writing. Thanks for getting through it with me, and head to the next video to see the problem set.